Hey, and welcome to another exciting episode of MASKast. And this is kind of the pregame show of we won't call it football because it's not quite near that magnitude. But for Mask fans, it has to be at least two or three hypes worthy of it.
True.
Um, so what's been going on in your world lately, Jason?
Well, I had my birthday. You had a birthday,
That's right.
and we got
Your little
each
daughter
other
had a
some
birthday.
cool. Yes, I have a 2-year-old again. Um, we bought each other some fun birthday presents this year. I started off with, well, I've got a lot of stuff that comes into my feed on my tablet. One of those is clearance items from thinkgeek.com. And I wouldn't call myself cheap, but I would say thrifty spender. And
I call myself a cheapskate. That's what I call myself.
well,
It's
I
not
had
frugal. It's not anything. It's a cheapskate.
okay. Well, I had seen a while back the Knight Rider um, USB port for your car, and it had sounds and lights and stuff, and it was like I don't know what the original price was.
It was closer to
35.
like 35, 40,
Yeah,
something like in that
I was
ballpark.
like, it's cool, but
About
a
$35.
little, yeah, a little too much for me. And so it goes on clearance, and it just hit me, boom, 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 birthday present. So I ordered that and sent that to Wyatt. I got to see it in action uh,
Came up
when I
with a
came up
second
there for
round
the
trip.
yeah. And when we recorded, was it the last show that we recorded
That's
together?
it. We were
Yeah.
up here.
So that was pretty cool little geek toy I would call for your car.
It is. And it's functional because it has a little charge, 2 ports, USB type chargers on the side. They're only 1 amp, so it's probably not good for an iPad or anything like that. But for a cheap little smartphone or maybe my little archaic flip phone here. They probably just do the job.
Yeah, it's more for the novelty.
Oh yeah,
Having Kit talk to you in was it 10 different phrases?
10 different phrases on occasion, not all, but on occasion you hear the little sensor light go woo woo as you're flipping through to the next uh, sound wave.
Well, that was pretty fun. And then I uh, I think it was Saturday, the day after my birthday, I got your present. Um, and it came in a huge box. Let me tell you. I mean, it was like fit for several books, or
Really
like a 3-ring binder size.
nice.
I'm like, what is this thing that's this big? And I open it up, and it's a bunch of packing paper. And I unroll that and unroll that. And finally, I get to see, oh, it's a Nintendo game. I turn it around. Contra. Yeah. I had been perusing the eBay for a long time for a copy of Contra that was at a decent price, and by decent price, in the $20 to $25 range was about as max as I wanted to go on that.
And I was not quite that lucky, but near that.
Well,
I was actually
there's
surfing. I was actually surfing the local Craigslists around here trying to. I almost thought I had a line on one that was actually a decent price, and they wanted to trade. I was trying to knock down like a couple bucks, so I was going to try to trade this F-15 City War, which is like an attempt at Top Gun, and it's one of the games I've always hated. I'll play it, and it's just so lame.
that's one of the unlicensed games, right?
It might be. So I thought, oh, maybe I can pawn this off. Knock off $5 or something. The guy turned around. I sent him pictures and everything, and he says, "I wouldn't give you 5 for that in that condition." I'm like, "What condition? What are you looking at?" And what's hilarious is his ad. He was trying to dump the whole set. Like he was dumping his NES, a box of, I think, 10 or 15 games. So I'm like, okay, you can't try to use this to resell later on.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. But I just landslided a good deal on
Good.
eBay. So
Yes,
happy birthday.
I was very grateful. I used the Konami code, and well, actually, I tried to beat the game straight up without the 30 extra lives, and I got stuck on. I can't remember which level it was. It's one of the ones where you're going straight ahead, and I kept dying and losing my spread gun, and I was getting pissed off. So I didn't quite beat the game, and then I punched in the Konami code and went through it pretty easily. So it's one of my favorites. The boys, we borrowed a copy from one of my friends local here, and we played, and they really liked it. It's mainly because two players could, go at the same time,
Right.
co-op, and we don't have very many games that do that. So thank you. That was much appreciated.
You're welcome.
So, well, yeah. So besides the birthdays, I've been pretty quiet on the M.A.S.K side. I started a new podcast over on Rediscover the 80s, and that's been consuming some of my time and running some giveaways. And I've been over there. I don't know. I go back and forth. I'll be on, Agents of M.A.S.K and all the social medias and thinking up blog posts and stuff for a while, and then I kind of switch and I go over there for a while, and I'm more active over there, and I go back and forth. So I'm more active on the 80s side right now. But
right, and I'm going to plug your Rediscover the 80s podcast, the latest one. If any of our listeners have actually listened to the previous podcasts where they were lengthy and so forth, they were fun, but they were lengthy. And I'll be honest, it was a little lengthy. You have to break it up, but it was well worth the listen.
Yeah, it was a marathon.
Right, and you were in fact, we were toying with this idea more so you on your last visit back here, and came up with recurrent events. I think is what you called it.
Yeah. It's just, and it was more or less. I love talking about 80s memories and childhood, and I live for stuff like that. I'm trapped in the past, basically.
Same here.
But there's also what I would call current events, headlines that have hit the news, the entertainment websites and stuff, and I tried to compile those into like a weekly place where I could just dump all those links in there and
right. And originally you had titled it for about a year or two. You had it called Weekly Links.
Yeah, 2 years actually. I went pretty regularly every week with that.
Yeah. So now it kind of just got transformed. Probably the best way to put it, to this recurrent events, which is a podcast follow up to. I don't know if you actually still post the weekly links anymore.
Well, I still do that post. I'm calling it the recurrent events. So the recurrent events is now that weekly roundup of retro pop culture news is what I'll call it, and then the accompanying podcast. So that's where I'm taking Wyatt included. I've got like maybe I think maybe I'm up to 20 in that Facebook group of people that I know who I've met online who podcast and have their own podcasts and so forth. And I'm trying to get at least 2 or 3 people to join me every week. And then we choose 4 or 5 headlines. I think we did 6 last week, actually, to just essentially give our thoughts. Last week we did, there was talk of a Spy Hunter movie coming back, and that had been in development about 10 years ago. So we each gave our thoughts on whether that would make a good movie. The whole Guns N' Roses reunion rumors went down last week. We talked about that. The show that you were on, Wyatt, we talked about those G.I. Joe pop vinyl toys. So I tried to spread it around and get a movie, TV, toys, music, anything that's kind of hot and heavy in the headlines that is about, 70s, 80s, 90s. I guess we're going to use those three eras as kind of the basis for what stories we choose. But it's been fun. The first 2 episodes are up, and we're releasing those every Friday. So if you'll go onto iTunes and Stitcher and soon to be Google Play and search for Recurrent Events, and you can hear us have some fun with the headlines.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to like you indicated. I was on the, I'll call it the pilot episode of Recurrent Events, and it was actually fun. You found out that I won't call myself a hater. I'm just not a liker either of Star Wars. So I mean, it was all fun and games. But it was great to hear just the kind of virtual roundtable like we've done here on MASKast with we'll call them agents that we chat with quite often. So it was actually fun. As for me, as far as what's going on in my world, I'm in the process of hopefully finishing up on this stinking foundation. I have a crack in my foundation. It's been leaking water. So it finally got repaired today, and I'm trying to put the closet back together.
Good.
I've changed jobs. Still doing what I'm doing, so to speak, in the Department of Defense, but whole complete different office, and I have still yet to know what I'm doing. I just know I checked in. That's all I got done. I have to go to the brilliant thing about the military is it's not like you sign in and you just done. You start your job, which is probably what you do, Jason, and other civilians, I guess is the best way to put it. Us, we have a process, and that process is we have to show up our orders that say yes, you are assigned to this unit. We're not faking it. And then you have to go through their process of checking in, which is putting basically your information into their system, even though it's all the same system, but now it's in basically their mailbox. We'll call it that way. Now it's in their mailbox. And it's gotten better, but it's still the same old. We'll sit down here for an hour, wasting my time for 5 minutes worth of paperwork to hand you. Thank you, and let's start my actual job. And it takes 2 or 3 days to do that.
Yeah, you always have to settle in, do training, get used to other people. So,
and that's the thing. We do all types of stupid training. I don't know how many times I've done the freaking. Well, I do know how many times I've done it for 20 years. That's how you do it. The latest one is what's it called? Information cyber awareness, and it's basically computer training. You can't leave. I'm going to use my MacGyver disc, but you can't leave a blank CD sitting around. You can't put it in your machine because you don't know what's on it, and it's all stupid stuff like that, and it's crazy. It's like a computer program game, so it's that whole. It's a couple steps above the Oregon Trail, but it ain't much farther than that. It's just do you yes or no, and you have this bad guy. I've heard him for like the past 5 years, I think. The bad guy goes every time he wins. So
that sounds like fun.
And it's dated too because they do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is one of those stupid games. Just saying, it's a little dated.
My dad still watches that show in the afternoons.
Yeah, but it's like on the 3rd or 4th host now, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if they still do Meredith or if it's somebody else, but
I don't even know who it is. It was Regis, and then it was someone else, and that was the last I knew.
The lady Meredith, I think is her name.
But isn't she on a talk show now?
Well, she was on a talk show. Anyway.
Yeah, let's get back to the mask at hand.
That's like about 20 years ago, that show. 15. Anyway.
About 15.
Yeah, I know I was in college, my later years in college, so that was like late 90s when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came out.
Yep.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's get on with the show, and this is going to be fun. I always enjoy these, like I've said numerous times. But it's just fun kind of going through each episode and reflecting on our quote-unquote season of MASKast. And this was a pretty good one, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I was surprised at the results, but we'll save those for when we get to the end here. But all right, well, let me get us started on the podcast version, and we will go right along. All right. Welcome, listeners, to MASKast 55 and our overview of what we are calling Season 4 of MASKast. As always, we appreciate everyone joining us and giving us your input into each episode. Tonight, we'll be reflecting on the 10-episode section of the M.A.S.K animated series from episode 31 to 40. We'll also be talking about the best and some of the worst moments from each episode, our personal ratings that we gave each one, and our polling results. And then we will reveal the new poll that we just put up on the favorite episodes chosen from 31 to 40, and then we'll compare our notes to the first 30 episodes that we reviewed, and that's always fun to check out and compare the stats, because I'm a stats kind of guy. We'll also talk about the special episodes that we released over the course of this section, and then we will preview Season 5 of MASKast. So we appreciate everybody joining us. Before we start the extravaganza, let us introduce ourselves. I'm one of your humble hosts, Jason, and with me, as always, is my co-host and longtime friend, the Beavis to my butthead, Wyatt. Have you enjoyed a good crappuccino lately?
Crappuccino. I am called Hoyo. I need TV for my bunghole. My bunghole will not wait.
Oh my gosh.
Or better yet, or what was it? The movie. The movie I still remember. I had the sound wave. I took off the movie some years ago when it's I think Butthead's real dad. Hey, you just want to see something really cool? Oh, oh, oh. You see the big explosion on the campfire.
Cool fire.
Oh my gosh. I love me some Beavis and Butthead back in the day. Do you remember the NES game for Beavis and Butthead?
No, but I do remember there was a game that I had downloaded.
Uh-huh.
I think you played it once or twice, and I sent it to you eons ago. But it was basically where you were spitting
Yes.
from the top of the school or something.
I think you had the NES emulator, and it was one of the games on there. But yeah, that's the main part that I remember. You did some other things, I think, during the game, but the favorite game was you're up on the roof, and down below is Principal McVicker. What was his name?
I
can't remember. But yeah, you're like, and then he's down there. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it must be raining. And you're like, yeah, spitting on people from the roof. I think I actually, you remember our trading post downtown right next to the movie theater?
Not there anymore, but I remember it.
I traded in one of my NES games for that game. You could trade for $1. I remember that. It only cost $1, and you could trade in your game for another one. And I had that one for a while. It was, rather boring, you could probably say, unless you were a real Beavis and Butthead fan and could, stand spitting on people all day. But I still to this day get me some Beavis and Butthead when I go on a road trip, because I uploaded
Garmin or I'm sorry,
my TomTom GPS. So I have them giving me directions. At the end of the road, turn right, butt munch.
I heard that. I got the
We're gonna
pleasure
get
of listening to
lost.
that when I came down to visit you.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
when
I
that
had that
record,
loaded.
yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah, when we went to see Hazard County, I think is when it was.
No, well, we might have seen Hazard County. That's right, we did see that, but we also saw AKA Junk on all his
Oh,
cars too.
was it on that trip? Okay. Yeah. So, Beavis and Butthead, they'll be with me forever.
Yeah, I saw some sound waves from eons ago, and one of your favorites is I don't want to repeat it on here, but dang it, shut up.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. He'd
I
sit
know
there.
which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have a keychain hanging in my truck too that I've had in my vehicle probably since the show started. I think I actually bought it on our senior skip day in high school when we went down to the mall in State College and went to that Spencer's, the gifts.
Oh yeah.
And I bought a lava lamp and I bought a Beavis keychain and I put it in my car. It's still in my truck. So 20 plus years later. Gosh, we're getting old.
We are. Well, think about it. Age-wise, it hit me that coming up February it'll be 21 years military,
Yeah.
and someone was asking me about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just had 20. Wait, I'm coming up on 21. Are you kidding me? So it's
Next year, I will have officially spent half of my life in the South and half of my life in the North.
we need to change it.
Get a little bit, go back on the Northern and the Yankee side there.
Yeah, you need to cross the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, we'll see about that. I wouldn't mind it, but I don't know. There's always some logistics in question.
Oh, I know. The logistics now for me. That's a whole other podcast episode. Something.
Well, let's go into our traditional. Let's get a mask on. I had to do it. You know, we're talking about Beavis and Butthead.
Now I got to find some edits for you to do that.
Well, I did release in this, I guess, the past week, our latest little music video tribute, and this time I used T-Bob and made him the real M.A.S.K hero, and I did a montage of all of his bravery and rescuing moments that I could find in the series, and it was actually hard to narrow it down because they're in every episode.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of moments where T-Bob kind of came to Scott's rescue or Matt's rescue, and of course he never gets credited at the end. So this was a little fun way to show, hey, T-Bob did serve a purpose on this show other than those stupid jokes. And it was fun. You were the one that brought up the song that I used, Holding Out for a Hero, and
I just couldn't think of any other hero song like 80s to kind of coincide, and that was the only one I could really.
Well, it worked, and there's a lot of cool drumming kind of sound effects and parts of that song that I tried to incorporate into that. In the bridge where they're building up in the bridge to they do this long and then they go into the verse again. I used the part where T-Bob blows up that blackout video, and he's building up all that energy from the M.A.S.K vehicles, and he shoots it out with his Karate Kid stance. That was fun.
Well, I'm just looking at it and if you heard a little bit of the theme song, I apologize. I was looking it up on YouTube, and of course, I was thinking autoplay. But anyway, I saw we have 85 views on that as of now, but just the T-Bob one alone. And one comment, looks like 3 replies, probably just a continuation, but from the Yoda Tube.
Yeah, I did see those comments. He asked about T-Bob's name,
Yeah.
I think is what he said. And I thought I remember, I don't know if it was in the actual cartoon series or what, but I remember somewhere it being Thingamabob is what he's short for. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that whatsoever. I know that in our script, we actually came up with the idea of calling him T for Tracker, and I think he wanted to call it T. I can't remember the exact how we worded it, but then somehow it turned into Bob just to give him a name. So
Yeah, that's something I need to remember too. I don't remember offhand how we did that in the script, but it could have been in the comics,
it's
but
probably in the comics, not in the.
I could swear I remember us covering either in with these episode reviews or maybe one of the comics or something, it having the long name Thingamabob, and I don't know if it was what the reference was, but I don't know. That's what I've always thought he was short for, but I don't know. We'll have to maybe throw that out to the people and see if they want to chime in on what they think T-Bob's real name is. If I'm thinking right.
I just did a really quick Google, and I have no idea if it's accurate, so please forgive me. Fleetway Comics is who supposedly put that in there. I'm trying to figure out which.
His name?
Yes. And I saw it on two things. One is on Wikipedia, and one is on a real quick blurb from MTV. He's actually supposedly is it's under artists and T-Bob. I'm not opening it up, but that's what it's under. The third one, it says T-Bob's 100th post.
Maybe it's somebody nicknamed T-Bob. Could be another T-Bob.
All three of them reference the Fleetway comics. So well, we'll have to get Eric. I think is probably the best one. Eric or maybe Scott across the pond. They could give us some insight on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere or been involved with something that said his name was Thingamabob, shortened to T-Bob. But well, speaking of comics too, I wanted to mention I think on our last show, and I forgot or I didn't put it in my notes, that I put up there that Unit E comic book from Hasbro that was released I think 2011 at New York Comic Con, and it had that reimagining of the M.A.S.K team as this pseudo police force in this almost post-apocalyptic kind of world. And I broke it down pretty good. I found a nice photo of the page itself. It was like I think it was a 2-page spread, and the photo of the team was mainly on one half, and then they had a few pieces of dialogue on the other half of the page. And I went ahead and quoted that whole, I don't know, it was maybe 2 paragraphs total of dialogue about the team, and I went through and broke that down. It was an interesting thought about M.A.S.K. I'm not sure I was totally on board with the way they were portraying them. It was almost, well, they were in Detroit too, so it was a little, I don't know, RoboCop. It was a little, I don't know, it was a little bit like, you remember the show Cops? I think we had talked about that on MASKast before too.
Yeah.
Where it's that police force and they have like special weapons and stuff, but
abilities.
Right. And of course they're wearing masks, all of them. They didn't say anything about the abilities. It was more along the lines of like, they found the secret to this advanced weaponry and blah, blah, blah. So the focus really wasn't on the masks themselves, it seemed like. But I don't know. It was an interesting concept. Go over to our blog there on agentsofmask.com and check that out, and you can write in your own little comment about what you think Hasbro was attempting to do there with that one comic book page in that one-off comic that was released a few years ago. Right. What about you? Do you got anything to add to Get Your Mask On?
No.
Okay.
I do want to, well, kind of a mask, kind of probably a slight step away from the getting a mask on is just during this last season, we've had the awesome opportunity, and I want to shout out to them and say thank you to Sharon Noble, Graham McKenna, as well as Doug Stone, being able to meet him in person and being able to interview the former Sharon and Graham.
Not Graham.
Brendan, sorry, I apologize. My mind's elsewhere. Just want to say thank you for coming in on our little show and just really well entertaining us and being gracious enough to talk with us and interviews. Doug just was more than gracious at the RetroCon where we went. It was an awesome time this season. I don't know if we can maybe with all the voice actors at once on Hangout. That's about the best way I can trumpet. But it was a great time, and I just want to say thank you before we.
You're breaking up.
Oh,
What
did I lose you?
You started breaking up, and then it kind of trailed off there at the end. So if you want to do that whole segment again, that's fine.
Take two. So anyway, I wanted to kind of do a side comment, kind of mask on, more mask off. Not to be confused with the wax on, wax off from Karate Kid. But nonetheless, I wanted to say thank you to Sharon Noble, Graham McKenna, as well as
Brendan McCain.
I got to write that down again.
Graham is another one of the actors, but yeah, Brendan McCain. Take three?
Take three. Yeah. So I wanted to do another, I guess, side chat, but more of a thank you to our interviewees that we've talked with lately, and that being the voice actors, Sharon Noble and Brendan McCain. I was able to talk with them, and they were very, very gracious and entertaining, and it was just it was just a great time, great experience for us, and I'm sure the listeners as well. And also during our season, as Jason calls it, being able to personally meet Doug Stone and just how gracious he was in person. So I just wanted a final kind of shout out for the season. I don't know how we can trump this, except maybe getting all the voice actors on a hangout at once. Until then, I don't know that we can top this during this season or the next season coming up. I know we're going to try,
right?
But it was just an awesome experience. Again, I'm very grateful and thankful for all three of you extending your open mask hand. I guess it's not the best point. I don't know, but basically just being open to having a discussion with us and the mask community as a whole. You once again, and I'm sure Jason will echo the same.
Yes.
Same gratitude.
Yes, it was a great time. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever be able to match the level of maskitude, is that a word? that we reached at RetroCon, being with Doug on that 30th anniversary panel. Of course, with Bill Ferris too.
Oh yeah.
Bill Ferris, I want to say, with Bill Ferris too, and it was just an unbelievable once in a lifetime experience. And of course, we hope it's not once in a lifetime that we get to talk with Doug, and maybe he'll come back again to another show. But yeah, it was just one of those things. I had to be there. I had to figure out a way to get there, just to share in that. And
Right.
it was a really great time. And then yes, talking with Sharon and Brendan was very cool. They were very gracious with their time. They answered all of our questions and gave us some great stories about back then and even now, their interaction with all the other actors and everything. So it's been a really fun season. So it will be hard to top. We will, like we've mentioned before, try to get some more of the voice actors on to chat, and we'll try to do our best to keep that level of fandom going as we go into the next couple seasons here before we get to the goal, which was episode 100. I don't know. I've thought about it. You know, we're at episode, we're at MASKast 55 now. So we're kind of over that hump of halfway, at least where I thought we would be. And we are a little past halfway with the episodes. And I was factoring in some special episodes with the reviewing the toys and the comics and hopefully getting some interviews and such. So I think we're pretty much on track. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get to 100. If it's going to be a thing where we kind of take a break, or do we do some chats? We try to keep it going a little bit, so we'll see. But
yeah, we'll have to be working on that.
Yeah, let's keep it the task at hand. I don't like to go ahead that far. Because I enjoy each episode review, and I enjoy the way it's been lasting several years now.
Yeah.
So we'll reach that mountain, probably a snowy mountaintop, when we come to it.
Is it the same snowy mountaintop that we've been saying? Oh wait, that was a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's what I was hinting at. So, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get going, and we'll go through each episode like we normally do. And we'll talk about some of the best and worst, our ratings, and so forth, like I mentioned in the intro. And it's going to be fun. So take it away.
Let's start the MASKast. So let's see. Where are we? I lost my... There it is. So we're at episode 40. Oop.
Nope.
Take two. I think the mouse won't go. There it is. So we started out our episodes with episode 31, in which it was titled The Deadly Blue Slime. The plot there was M.A.S.K travels to Africa to stop a botched experiment which has created a deadly blue slime, consuming everything in its path. Venom learns of the slime and seeks to control it in order to take the world hostage, which seems to be the plot of most of the M.A.S.K themes.
Right.
There's not money to take over the world.
Right.
I think, was it Pinky and the Brain? I think they stole that from M.A.S.K.
It could have been. Good point.
But Jason rated it a 3, while I rated it a 4. The poll showed a 75% voted for a 4-3, with a single vote on both sides being 5 and 2. That's the rating of 5 and 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I was just going to ask you, what did you think? What was the best and worst? Or what do you recall of it?
Well, I remember thinking, oh, here we go. If we're going to start off with this episode, I don't know. It just didn't sit too well with me. It was an okay episode. The good parts were mainly the animation. They had a couple of fun shots. The one looking through the ceiling fan, if you will remember that.
Yep.
And then I don't know. There's some things that just didn't sit well with me. Thunderhawk had some like helicopter-like movements.
Yeah.
Where it's always been more of a jet, and we did going back to Panda Power. One of the reasons why I rated that so low was that almost Harrier-like takeoff with that crate that I had under there.
Yep. And
it wasn't really a traditional jet. And in this episode, I remember, I think Mayhem was shooting at Thunderhawk and Switchblade, and it just moved kind of back and forth out of the way, Yeah. And it didn't, I don't know, just didn't sit well with me. And then I didn't like that Switchblade was able to take off and flee the scene, so to speak, after Night Stalker actually shot it down and crashed it.
Right.
So we're thinking it's stuck and Mayhem's going to have to hitch a ride, and here he is.
Resurrecting himself.
Right, and taking back off again. So, like I said, there was some good, there was some bad in there, so I kind of landed in the middle. What do you remember from the episode?
I remember thinking it was a plausible type of episode, not quite possible, but plausible for the M.A.S.K world at hand.
Uh-huh.
You identified most of my notes, I swear. The good overhead shots, like you said, looking through the ceiling fan. There were some good battles, not great, but good back and forth. One of the things I do remember that I liked, and I'm a guy that likes to know the how-to of shows. So watching Miles push 2 buttons on his console, one transforming into jet mode, and then the other one putting the mask down, the Viper mask down. That
I do remember that.
liked seeing. My hang-up, you already identified the so-called resurrection of Switchblade, and the hovering of Thunderhawk. The other one that kind of got to me was that it was like the next episode in experimenting with all the sound effects. There was a new PC sound. There was the new watch sounds. Just everything seemed to be not. I mean, they were starting to steer away from the watch sounds. I think after episode 5 or something. I don't know. But it's just. It was like this was. Oh, let's change everything up. Why not?
Yeah, it was like the sound effect guy was out that day, and they brought in somebody new and didn't know which exact sound effects went with where.
That's it. But I guess that's why I left it as a 4. Wasn't episode to drop it down anymore, but the little ticks were what dropped it down for me.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and the voters showed it along our lines, mainly in that 3.5 range, which was right between us. So that was wasn't any big conspiracy there. So speaking of conspiracy, let's transition into our next episode, which was currency conspiracy.
Right. There was M.A.S.K takes a frigid trip to Switzerland to stop Venom and a Baron seeking revenge. The evil team's weapon is a virus which causes ink to disappear from the money. You rated this a 3. I rated it a 4. I guess I'm the ever optimist here. I think that's what we found out. And then the poll showed 60% voted for a 4, with 2 votes on both sides for 5 and 3, ratings of 5 and 3.
Yeah, me being the 3 on that one. So I was
Yeah,
the low man on the total
03.
poll. I was the low man on this episode.
Yeah. So what made you knock it down like you do? Oh.
I remember being very up and very down on this episode, so I think that's why I kind of landed in the middle. And this is going to be a recurring theme for all of these. I mean, I've enjoyed the animation throughout this stretch of the series. There was some really cool shots. Again, that long sweeping shot inside Rhino, going from Bruce over to Matt. Matt says something, and then we are taken right outside. And there's some really great conversion shots of Rhino and Night Stalker from the side, and I really enjoyed those. This was the shot at the end of the episode where you're looking through the fireplace at the team. So, like I said, this is you're going to see this throughout in my notes, that they were always coming up with some creative ways to do animation and also some creative angles looking at the team. This one I do remember, though, there's being some kind of bad drawings of Boulder Hill mainly, and I can't remember if it was the garage area or something. It just didn't look normal the way it was drawn. And then there was kind of some cheesy sound effects in this one where when the money disappears, it's like this soap opera sound effect that they use. I'll call it. And then I don't know, we kind of went back and forth on this one, which was the Bruce's Batman trick, where he's in Rhino, he lassos the landing skid of Switchblade and then climbs up. It was kind of good for like shock effect to me, because I was like, what in the world is he doing? Bruce, didn't know you could do this. And he gets up there, and then I was like, okay, so what's he supposed to do now? And I don't know. I think you were along the lines that this was a pretty cool scene, and I wasn't sure what to think of it at this point.
Well, with that, it was, as cool as it was still a perplexing, because doesn't Bruce have lifter? I mean, he should be able to fly himself wherever he wants to.
Right.
But it was still a very cool trick for drama effect, I suppose. And I do remember a lot of the camera, a lot of the edits were really improving. So I took note of that. One of the things that we noticed, that at least I marked down on, was they had snow tires on this, studded snow tires. One of them loses, and I can't remember who it is, but they end up losing traction.
Yeah.
It just perplexed me that, okay, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, if you have studded tires, you're doing pretty good on ice. Not perfect, but you're doing a lot better than anybody else out there without them.
Was this the one too where Jackhammer like squeals his tires in the snow too? Yes,
it is.
That kind of, I was like, oh, what are you thinking?
This was all filled, I think, heavily, but this was all filled with currency and money puns the whole way through.
Oh yeah, it was rampant.
Yes. Then there was that corny ski bob moment where for like a minute we didn't understand what the heck was going on, why that edit was even there.
Yeah.
It made sense kind of at the end when I think it comes back together really in the episode, but for that whole minute, I think I remember saying they could have used that 1 minute of clip for something better elsewhere.
Right.
But I guess that's me to a 4. It wasn't, again, not terrible, but not terribly enough to ding it down any lower, I guess.
Yeah.
That's way to put it.
Yeah, and the voters agreed with you on that. So it was good to a certain extent, but for me, there was some the jokes just wore on me. I remember this whole episode, so there was no way that I was. It was probably one of those ones. I can't remember which episode it was exactly. I know there was 3 episode that I was teetering on 2. I can't remember if it was this one or not, but I do remember the jokes being way more irritating than normal.
Right.
We'll say. But after that, we went to Rome and on to episode 33, which was Caesar's sword.
Right, and in this episode, the plot is that Sly Rex poses as Julius Caesar's ghost. And I think you actually added a little soundbite in there from Al Bundy for me.
Yes.
But anyway, he uses the ghost in order to scare off archaeologists who have discovered the long-lost Sword of Victory. It's up to M.A.S.K, as always, to stop Venom from possessing the sword and the mystical power that goes with it. Well, Jason was a little dingy on this, but he rounded it up to a 4. It was a 3.5 is what he said. He's going to round it up to a 4. I kept it as a 4. 67% of the votes, they voted for a 4, with a single vote for a 5 and a single vote for a 3.
So yeah, they agreed with us on this
again,
one.
I'm sorry?
They agreed with us on this one pretty much, and
yes,
it was a little bit better, in my opinion, than the first 2 episodes that we had. There were some genuine laugh out loud moments. That I got a chuckle out of T-Bob's doggy bag mode.
Yes.
If you remember that line. And then when Mayhem, it was ridiculous, and it was a 1 in a million shot, but when Mayhem gets clunked in the face with Night Stalker's spare tire, that was pretty hilarious. And then the ultimate line of the episode was when Rax gets his hand on the sword and Mayhem, radios in trying to find him. Have you found the sword yet? Or whatever. And Rax says, bug off. Love that. Telling Mayhem to bug off. It had the potential to be great. But I was kind of let down towards the end with the final battle, and Venom was kind of pinned in there at the Coliseum, and there, I thought they could have ended that a little bit better, but obviously Venom needs an escape route to keep the show going. And then there was just there was a couple other logistical things that took me out of the episode, like when Bruce, I remember, used Lifter to open up the road. And then at the same time, also, I think he lifted a vehicle out of, like, they were down below in this tunnel or something. And I was like, well, how does Lifter do that? It's usually you focus in on one item, you lift it up, and you move it somewhere else, and then he has to go to the next. Like when they were, I can't remember which episode it was, but they're on this bridge had collapsed. He uses Lifter to take, I think it's Rhino and
that was one of the
Firecracker. Yeah, it was in the first 10. So he had to take them individually over this bridge that had just been blown up. And this episode, he was able to, while lifting one object, also lift another thing and do it at the same time. So I don't know. That was probably more of a tick for me on that episode. That's why I still, voted it for a 4, but there's always those little things that, of course, my adult brain is going to think of, and not my little kid brain when I first watched it, 30 years ago.
Right.
But what are some other things that you remember about Caesar's sword?
Well, this one I actually remember this being kind of like a mix between the Stooges in it. Kind of earlier on, before the commercial break, there's a scene where Dagger gets spooked by this howling cat. The episode of the Stooges, I think it's called Dizzy Detectives, where Curly is sitting on that rocking chair, smoking a like a 2-inch cigar, and he's rocking it, and all of a sudden there's that cattail that finally gets caught in the rocking chair, and he has that big, huge gulp, and that's exactly what Dagger does. Is this big old gulp, and you see the animation of his fear. So I was laughing like crazy because I saw the pseudo stooge Curly moment, and then not too much, not much too further from that. One of them, I'm trying to think. I think it's Rax. I think it's Rax that says, "All right, you numbskull," and again, that's another stooge line for me.
Did I lose you? Are you there?
Aren't you? I'm here.
You just froze up. Are you there?
Hello.
Hey.
I am.
You're like.
Am I back?
You were doing Max Headroom there for a little bit.
Really? Cool.
All right, there you are.
So I'm back.
Okay.
Where'd I leave off?
You left off with that last thought.
Where
you got yeah, you ended with the stooge moment, and then you're going into your next little thing.
Okay. Well, T-Bob, I remember one of the ticks was that T-Bob was drawn a little differently, like an eggshell or just an oddball type of drawing. The other one that didn't make sense was earlier on we see there's construction workers on the site when Rax, aka Julius Caesar, spooks them. There's 4 construction workers when we see 2 in the view, and I remember thinking, okay, I can see a third because one had to be operating the crane, but where did the number 4 come into play?
Yeah. Hangouts is
that
not.
Was all.
Hangouts is not cooperating. You're still breaking up. You got through that thought, but now we're screwing up again. I don't know what's going on tonight.
Oh, great. Did I clear up now?
Yeah, you're cleared up now.
Okay, well, but that was where the minor ticks. The rest of it was there was a good transformation of Thunderhawk, and I think I noted that throughout a lot of episodes. But
yeah, I mean, for the most part,
highlights for me.
This is nuts. Okay. Well, I think again, for the most part, the voters agreed with our thoughts. Or
did you lose me?
Yeah. Google, fix your crap. Come on, man.
Money for this.
I usually get. This hasn't been this bad since we was using Skype.
Skype's usually the worst.
Yeah.
We apologize, listeners, if who's watching this live.
Yeah, I saw somebody pop in, but
I thought it was Vaughn. I think it was Vaughn.
Was it?
So sorry.
I'm just you're total Max Headrooming, man.
Really?
I don't know what to do.
How about now? Is it any better?
Better,
worse, same?
You're okay. No, you're not.
Well, I didn't talk.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. Well,
can we dare to move on to the next?
Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll try.
Okay.
All right. Let me finish that thought and we'll move into the next episode. Yeah, I think for the most part, again, the voters agreed with us. 2/3 of them voting what we voted at 4. So, I think we've been spot on with our reviews as far as what everybody else is rating the episodes, and unfortunately, with the current events, we have to talk about Peril in Paris, which, of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to the people in Paris.
And it's not just Paris. There was a lot more attacks elsewhere.
Well, that's very true. Of course, the majority of the deaths were in Paris, but yeah, we just want to just take a moment and say our thoughts and prayers are with them as we are going through this review.
Yes. So speaking of, unfortunately, that episode title, Peril in Paris, M.A.S.K agent Buddy Hawks tries to infiltrate
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Oh, no!
Oh, shit.
Did we reconnect, disconnect, reconnect?
I don't know if
we can do that.
I guess if you want to, can you log out and try to log back in?
I'll try.
Okay. Again, apologies. It's going to be a nightmare to edit, produce all that garbage, but I don't know. Google Hangouts is not cooperating tonight. I'm not sure if it's my connection or Wyatt's, me being the host of the podcast. Showing a pretty good connection, so we'll see. Move my laptop around here. Try to there you are.
Let's try this one now.
Okay.
Let's see. Is it
so far so good.
Okay.
So anyway, so yeah, we were just wrapping up, and then you were going to go into the plot when it cut out. So if you want to start with just the plot.
Yeah. I gotta pop it back up now. All right, so like we said, unfortunately, the title of this episode is Peril in Paris. M.A.S.K agent Buddy Hawks tries to infiltrate Venom's secret base in Paris and thwart their plan to bomb the city unless they are paid $1 billion. Oh, we got to do it right. $1 billion. Can Buddy use the element of disguise to penetrate Venom's defense? Can Matt Tracker save Scott the Apple Tower? We'll find out.
It's still doing it, dude.
Oh, no.
I lost you on that last little question there. This is upsetting.
Crazy. So am I still Max?
Yeah, it's just, but it got blah.
Let me try something. I don't know that it will help. So I'm going to try one more other effect.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if I should try to refresh my internet.
Now that I have Frizzy here, how about now?
So far, so good.
Worse? I hope. I'm wondering if I did something jacked up on my end. So I'll try the last question. Can Matt Tracker save Scott and T-Bob from atop the Eiffel Tower? We'll find out today. Oh, wait, he already did.
Did it again, man, right at the end.
So it's not the headphone.
No, I think it's the connection or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if me as the host can pop out and pop back in. I mean, do you have the stop broadcast on your end?
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know if I stop it, if we'll be able to we'll just have to open up a new, hangout.
Right.
But I mean, my Wi-Fi signal is to the top. I mean, it's not like I
Let
don't
me
have
try
a strong
something. Not
signal
that I
or
like doing
anything.
it. Let me try something here.
Okay.
And one more thing. Okay, how about now?
You've been okay so far.
I'm trying to deactivate a couple things. Maybe it's eating up my RAM. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe I should close out some windows.
Kind of grasping at straws. But
Yeah.
so last line, and that'll be our test again. Can Matt Trekker save Scott and T-Bob from atop the Eiffel Tower? We'll find out today. Oh wait, we already did this a couple of episodes ago. So, what were your best and worst moments? Or are we still?
It's still breaking up, man.
No. What is eating up?
I don't know what's going on. I've closed out just about everything.
Let's try one. I don't know what else it can be. Can be.
Adjust your video quality to limit your bandwidth usage. All right, I'm going to reduce my video quality a little bit. Do you see that at the top of your Hangout? The little like Wi-Fi bar. You can reduce your video quality to help the bandwidth.
Yeah.
I went down one notch to low.
Well, I did the same. We'll see if that proves it at all.
Yeah. All right. I guess let's try that one more time and we'll see what happens.
Alrighty. Can Matt Trekker save Scott and T-Bob from atop the Eiffel Tower? I guess we'll find out. But wait a minute. We already did. That's why we're doing a review.
True.
And Jason had a rating of 4, and I guess I thought it was a pretty dang good episode because I made it a 5.
Yeah.
So let's find out why I made it a 5 and why Jason made it a 4.
Well, we were along the lines with the voters on this one. 89% voted 5 or 4, with 50% overall voting for 5. So a lot of people thought this was a good episode. I definitely thought this was the best episode so far of the first several. They were still creative with the shots and animation, like what I call Buddy Dagger, shooting that harpoon gun right at the camera. That was really cool. And then towards the end of the episode, we got to see Buddy fold up inside Hurricane. If you remember, when he was up in the turret and it collapses and he folds up and comes out the door there to talk to Matt. And we had mentioned this before, I think, mainly with Jackhammer, when we saw Vanessa go from the passenger seat up into the turret. And I want to say that was Scepter of Regime when that happened.
I think so.
They were out in the jungle there. But I always like to see how things work, and I know you do as well. So seeing that was pretty cool. And, essentially the people putting that in specifically to show that, I thought was cool. So, and again, this, like you mentioned before, this plot was pretty realistic, holding the city hostage, for money. So it wasn't. And again, I don't necessarily knock the episodes that are mystical, but these plots always seem to work better for me. What really knocked me down on this episode was they didn't have a call up. They just had Matt and Buddy, driving around Paris, and seemingly decided to face Venom on their own. They didn't even call for backup, which really wasn't typical. And then the other thing that really got me was the stupid footstep sound effects that they put in for T-Bob.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the whole episode they're just walking around Paris trying to find the Eiffel Tower, and so that's all we heard was those clip clop sound effects, and that just kind of wore on me, and that's why I knocked it down to 4. But what was in your notes that held you up as a 5?
I guess it was really the detail in the animation. They really went, I think, a couple steps above. Just the way they handled the animation, the drawing, and such. I know there was a lot better drama going on, even with the clever disguise that Buddy was doing. I think there was even a comment, and I don't know the exact one, but it was like, "Did you see me walk through here?" I think that's what Dagger was actually saying, and I started actually referring to him for just for my own sanity. I would say legit Dagger and real Dagger,
right.
Or I don't know, and fake Dagger, or something to that effect. But what was the one? Oh, this is also the episode where we get the name change for Hurricane.
Right.
It was Night Stalker originally, and now it's Hurricane.
Right.
And Matt in Thunderhawk pulls this. I call it the Men in Black move. If you remember the original episode where
he goes up in the tunnel.
Yeah, when they're in that tunnel. And so I kind of likened it to the Men in Black move, driving Thunderhawk up on the tunnel wall there. But to me, there wasn't that much to call up. As much as I like it, it was a small ding, but not enough to drop it down a whole point. So that's why I kept it as a 5.
Well, I think the voters were pretty much on your side with that. It didn't bother them as much as probably it did me, but it still wasn't enough to, drop it down any more than the solid 4 that I voted it. So
Right.
It was definitely one of the better episodes of this group, and that led us on to another really great episode in the Netherlands.
Right. Madman hires Venom, and the episode is in Dutch, to destroy the flood dikes in the Netherlands in order to extort a political position and part of the city and destroy Venom's ultrasonic device before it's too late.
You jumped again.
I thought I heard an echo or something.
Just go ahead and start over from the beginning there.
Right. This episode is in Dutch. A madman hires Venom to destroy the flood dikes in the Netherlands in order to extort a political position in Parliament. Can M.A.S.K save the city and destroy Venom's ultrasonic device before it's too late? I guess we'll find out again. So we both rated this at 5.79% of the voters saying it was a 5, with 21% saying it was a 4. So this was a pretty premiere type of episode, at least during this. I guess after is this episode 5 of this season? I guess we call it.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was very solid episode, as voted by the fans and us. turned out to be one of the best of the season. There was some good writing that offset some of the bad jokes, which, if you make me laugh, it really helps to forget some of the bad jokes that you're adding in there, those dumb puns. But I had some genuine laugh out loud moments there. And there was great dramatic elements throughout of the episode. At the beginning, when they're swept away in that river of water, and when Matt gets shot down and in the ocean, and Spectrum shorts out, and his Thunderhawk pretty much shorts out on him, except for that one rocket booster that he uses to get him out from the bottom of the ocean there, which the entry into the water after he's shot down was some really cool animation with the waves. There were some other shots too that they use focusing, where something's out of focus and then they focus in. Really good shots there, and then some excellent transformations of the vehicles used when Shark and Gator, I think it's just Shark and Gator in this episode, come on scene, and the animation was definitely top notch. And Scott and T-Bob, they were used just about the right amount. They weren't necessarily involved directly with the plot of the episode. They were kind of in the peripheral, but they, were helped in solving the mystery, so to speak. And then especially finding that windmill flying in the air.
Right.
So what did you pull out of this episode, and what kept it top notch for you?
Well, I was actually going to say 4.5, but rounded up.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, it says, or my notes say, the big tick I guess I had was when Miles is standing up in his landing skid, or skidless, when he lost the one landing skid, and he's waving, but there's no scream or anything like that. There should have been an additional something there, like he would typically or "I'll get your mask" or something. There was just nothing, and so I did ding it, even though I don't know if it was intentionally left blank, but I still did ding it. I was disappointed that Gator wasn't really, or actually wasn't used until the end when he picks up Alec and his cat.
Yeah, I do remember that. It's being late in the episode.
What was he doing out there? Doing water donuts? I don't know what he was doing. But like you mentioned, I enjoyed the back and forth. They take the time to go back and forth between the drama and the action and so forth. There seemed to be a lot more of a battle, which was actually good to see.
Yes.
You mentioned it. Perhaps you just discussed it while I was reading my notes here, where we wished we could have seen the oil rig turned into a toy.
Yeah.
Would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, that was an excellent part of the episode, watching that thing go from
over.
That whole platform, sequence. Yeah. That was really good. And even showing that compartment where the Piranha sub shoots out of the side of it when Rax comes on scene. That was really good.
Right. But that's my 2 cents in the episode.
Yeah. So it was a good one. It was a good one. Yeah. And then we transitioned into another good one, the Lippenzahner mystery, which had us in Vienna, Austria.
Right, and this is where Lippenzahner.
You're breaking up.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Venom and a crooked Arab steal the famous Lippensteiner stallions. Matt, Dusty, and the team work together to kill them. Oh, I saw the head nod.
Ah! Ah. This is going to be a nightmare to produce.
Lots of edits.
Yeah, I don't know why it's screwing up so much tonight. Hangouts is
One of us
usually pretty dependable, but for some
not
reason,
tonight.
I guess the Skype people have hacked them tonight.
Must have.
All right, let's just fight through it.
Alrighty.
Go ahead with the
So Venom,
plot.
yeah, Venom and a crooked Arab steal the famous Lippensteiner stallions. Matt, Dusty, and the team work together to rescue the horses and return them to the rightful owners. Looks like we were both thinking the same thing here, or at least rating-wise. We both said they were 4.5, and they were both rounded up to a 5. And 83% of the vote had 5, with kind of scattered votes throughout.
Do that last with the last line there. 73%.
All right. The 73% voted a 5 with kind of scattered votes throughout.
God
the bulk
bless.
Uh-oh.
It's so choppy. I don't know what to do. We just have to fight through it and get through it.
I saw Aaron.
Yeah. All right. Try it again. 73% voted.
73% voted a 5 with a few other votes scattered throughout.
Yeah. And again, this is another great episode. I only had a couple drawbacks, mainly being the logistics of the other agents showing up so soon after they were essentially halfway across the world. And then the convenience, I guess, where the vehicles were in the final battle, where I do remember Thunderhawk and Switchblade having a pretty good air battle.
Mm-hmm.
And Thunderhawk shoots out the windshield, remember, of Switchblade, and Mayhem drops into the water, and shark's down there to get him. And I don't know, they just seemed like, and it was really quick for them to. There's some great scenes where they essentially confront the Venom agents in the. I guess they're in a warehouse or something, and then Venom tries to escape, and then all of a sudden they're quickly into their vehicles. They didn't really show it,
right?
But that, I guess, bothered me a little bit. But it was very creative at the end. There was a good mask battle there in that warehouse, and then the other aerial battle with Thunderhawk and Switchblade was really good. And I like that they referenced other episodes in this one at the beginning, where Scott and T-Bob are talking back and forth, and they talk about what was it, running into an elephant and something else. They referenced just a couple other episodes in this one, which I thought was really good. And then what really perked me up was at the end, when I think we had all 4 Venom agents on scene at this point, and I don't know if it's Dusty or somebody, wonders why don't they go after Venom, and Matt hinted that there might be more Venom agents or something. So we'd better wait or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. We might be getting closer to some other Venom agents. So I really liked that one. And I also had some good laugh out loud moments in this one too. So all that being said, there was only a few things that bothered me, and I kept it high enough to round up to a 5.
Right. And I'm very the same you. To be honest, the only real difference.
Yeah, hold up. We're gonna fight this all night. Put on our boxing gloves, Google. Suckers.
Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
Can you pop up mix pad or something and run along in tandem to catch the audio?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll catch the audio or if it's just gonna hear the rumbling that I'm hearing in my headphones.
Oh,
So
good point.
I don't think I think having a peripheral recording will help, because I'm hearing it, and if I'm the host, then it's got to be on the video that we're gonna get back,
Yeah.
you know, and pull the audio from, which kind of sucks. But all right, dude.
Okay. So I'm along very much along the lines of yours. I really liked this episode. It took me a while to get to it. For me, it seemed like it was I guess the plot was just not getting there for me. But after the commercial break, things got, I guess, more dramatic, more involved. The only I noticed.
Say that last line again.
Noticed.
Wait.
Was
okay. Try.
Was the downsizing that Miles money, because it was like 1 billion was one number, 20 million was the next one that they're looking for, and now it's 5 million, I think, in this episode.
Yeah.
So it's something I noticed.
You're breaking up, dude. You're breaking up. This really sucks.
And we're only halfway through.
God, I know. We're never going to get finished tonight. It's going to be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, it is. Is it cleaned up yet?
Should we scrap it and try it again tomorrow?
I guess we can, if you'd rather. What you could do is try to pull our intro out of it, and then come back and we can just do our show part.
Yeah, I mean, usually when there is a hiccup in the audio, I can still bring it together, because there's like it's almost like a long syllable, you know, and it has that wang sound in the middle, and I usually take that out, and I can usually patch it together pretty well, and you can't really notice it. But tonight, I'm missing whole words from you.
I don't know how you. Yeah, I don't know how you'd rectify that.
You're still
sort of
doing
rebooting, or yeah.
All right. Well, let's
We either plug away or.
All right. Let's just go ahead. We'll just go ahead, since I don't think there's anybody watching. So let's end this broadcast. I'll refresh my Wi-Fi, and then we'll start up a new Hangout and see what happens.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. We'll be back.
Send me
viewers.
a Facebook. Yeah, send me a Facebook link.
Okay.